I was able to stack up 35,033 points for damage leapers during an electromagnetic storm on Dam Battlegrounds. This strategy is ultra simple and it hasn't changed a whole lot since season 1. You will want to use the hole cracker for this now that the Trailblazer has been nerfed, and the hole cracker will make quick work of leaper if you can hit your shots. For your equipment, you will want to bring obviously a hole cracker and then a ton of rounds. I brought 7 stacks of 24 rounds and left with just under 1 stack remaining. I brought 3 zip lines and used all 3 of them just to help move me across the map a little bit quicker. And then the 2 wolf packs I brought in as an emergency button in case a rocketeer aggroed to me or I needed to use them for some other purpose. Outside of that, make sure you pack a ton of adrenaline shots because you don't want to spend time regenerating your stamina throughout this rotation. Once you spawn in, head to one of the 3 major areas that leaper will spawn. Water treatment extraction, the area in between research administration and testing annex. That forest has 2 separate spawn locations for leaper, and it can be found roaming in the Red Lakes. Once you find leaper, you can use either one of your weapons to aggro it to you. Keep in mind that if you shoot a leaper and there is another raider that is closer to it than you are, there is a chance that it will aggro towards that other player instead of you. That's what happened with this first leaper for me, as I shot it, ran to cover, and then it went a completely different direction. So just keep that in mind, that when you do shoot it, to make sure to follow up and make sure that you know for sure that it is indeed following you or leaping towards you. I got a little lucky with this first leaper. After the little confusion with where it went, it got stuck in between some trees and the cliff sides, so it made it very, very easy to take the leaper out. You will have small enemies you'll have to deal with throughout this rotation. I relied on the hole cracker for most of that. The hole cracker is great at taking out snitches, hornets, and wasps, and will do it essentially in 1 to 2 shots depending on where you hit them. The Venator was nice for cleaning up the last bits of damage before the enemy was eliminated, but outside of that, I always use the hole cracker. Leaper has 2 essential attacks. The first one is a giant leap that will take away all of your shields and most of your health, and the second one is a charged up explosion that will also do the same. Usually it will leap on you and then do the charge attack if it gets a hit onto you, so be careful. That can be the way that you get knocked out. You can run out of that charged explosion. Just make sure you move quickly once you are able to stand back up after being leaped on. After you take out your first leaper, head to the next closest spawn location of the others. Use zip lines in the areas you plan to travel most to cut out some of the time running. You can also use bandages, shield rechargers, stamina shots, and even manage your inventory while you're actively on a zip line, so it can also help with just managing the run in general to have them placed throughout. Once you find your second leaper, just rinse and repeat that first strategy. Use either of your weapons to aggro it to you, and then try to find a small enclosed space to kite it to. If you try and fight it in the open or in an area that doesn't limit its movement a whole lot, just keep in mind that hitting hole cracker shots on a leaper that's moving at night in the dark, with how dark this game can be a really challenging and also really humbling process. So just be patient with yourself as you dial in your shots, and it will come to you in no time. If you are able to consistently land your shots on leaper, it will go down super quick, but if you're not hitting your shots, obviously it's going to drag out a bit and it will take a bit longer. You definitely do want to try and eliminate leaper as quickly as possible so that it starts its respawn cycle. That said, I can't tell you a whole lot about what causes leapers to respawn or not respawn. I tried this challenge a bunch of times before this and never got lucky with spawns. It was just this game where it didn't seem like there were a ton of raiders in the area that I got a ton of spawns and a ton of luck. So just keep in mind that that is part of this. Once you've taken out this second leaper, head down to the third leaper's location. For me, the third leaper was in the Red Lake, and instead of going out towards the leaper and spending all that time running, I just shot leaper from underneath the control tower and let it leap up to me. Here I ran into a small building right underneath that control tower, which allowed me to have an area of cover, and it also limited the amount of movement that leaper could do. In this way, it made it a lot easier to hit the hole cracker shots and take leaper out and keep me safe while doing it. This is the ideal way that you want to try and fight leaper throughout the rest of this match. From here, just rotate back to the area that you took out your first leaper and see if it's happened to respawn. And that's the strategy overall here. You really just run back and forth between the spawn locations, looking for the next ones to have spawned in and taking them out as quickly as possible. There's not a whole lot of thinking beyond that. As the game winds down, definitely make sure you know where the extraction is and how long it's going to take for you to run there. And this is also where your wolf packs can come in handy. As I was heading towards the last extraction and had a little bit less than 2 minutes left, there was another leaper for me to get on my way out. I used the wolf packs to open up and deal some initial damage, and then my hole cracker to finish up, making sure I didn't stay too long in that fight and was able to get to the extraction in time. That said, I absolutely did not need to use the wolf packs. I had more than enough time to just use my hole cracker saying I hit my shots. So wolf packs are not needed if you don't happen to have them. Just make sure you get your shots dialed in and take that leaper out as quickly as possible. Once you've taken out enough leapers and you're happy with your score, head back to Speranza, collect your loot if you haven't already, and watch your score leap up the leaderboard. That's going to be it for me today, y'all. Thanks for watching.